No matter you're an intermediate or at the beginning, if you've plateaued in your pump fuel journey and you haven't been making any progress in the last few weeks or even months maybe, then you should probably watch this video until the end, because I know quite a few things about plateauing and unplateauing. You know that if you've watched my story video. And if I have to be completely transparent, I'm also kind of plateaued right now, and I'm going to explain what I'm going to do to unstuck my situation and keep improving and improving. Because I found that there are three main areas to consider when it comes to stuck, unstuck, and just making progress. And these areas are technical, motivational, and physical. So I'm going to list them one by one, starting from the least sexy, moving on to the sexiest, just to increase attention. And I'm going to stop saying areas as well, because that's really not the way you pronounce it in English. Anyways, let's start from the physical factors, which, if I have to be honest, is probably the least possible, because the least likely. Because if you think about it, you don't need endurance, you don't need strength, you need technique, right? But anyways, if you really feel like after like half an hour in your session, you're wiped out, then yeah, probably you should consider, making something for your physique, especially if you don't have time to go in the water more than 2-3 times a week. And what are like the best activities to do to increase fitness for pump foiling? Well, of course, pump foiling, but again, if you cannot be in the water that often, then running for sure helps, because I have this mindset that we are still the same as when we were hunters. So when we were hunters, like, I don't know, 5,000-10,000 years ago, whatever, we were running probably 30, 40, 50, even more probably kilometers a week. And even more time walking, right? An insane amount of time compared to what we do now. So we should try and move a bit more towards that mindset, that mentality, that way of living life. Just walking a bit more, running a bit more, that for sure helps a lot. And another thing is CrossFit. Now, I was a gym rat and I switched to CrossFit. Now I'm a CrossFit monkey, whatever. And I cannot tell you how happy I am of this choice, because yes, I'm less muscular, I have to admit that, but I built more endurance. I feel like I just feel better. And if you are into it, you know what I mean, because this is not, CrossFit is not just getting fit and gaining some endurance on the way and maybe some strength. It's also about focus, because, in the gym, you're doing your set, which is like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever, and then you're resting for like 2 minutes, something like that. And you're getting distracted. With CrossFit, you are forced to be focused for like maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. Maybe you're doing, a circuit or something. So you have to be focused. And that same focus that you gain with CrossFit, you can transfer it into pump foiling. So that's super useful for that as well. But if you really want to strengthen specifically for pump foiling, and you have the possibility to go in the water multiple times a week, then there is a very good way of doing that, which I found, and I quite enjoy it actually, which is pumping with a bigger board or some weight. Now, I'm not going to tell you to put like a weight jacket or something, because you're going to sink and you're probably going to drown. And I'm not going to say to pump with plates on your board, because it's just going to be the same principle. But again, you can take a bigger board, or you can pump with your foil jab attached if you have one. You're doing the same movement. This is the same movement, but you have to use more energy. It's normal. And trust me, if you pump for like 2-3 sessions with an overweight, and then you remove it, it's gonna feel so easy and effortless. So that's a very good training that you should consider doing. Then, moving on, we have the motivational factors, and this is a big one, especially for me. If you've watched my story video, my journey, you know that I was pretty much always alone, and then maybe I had to set up the ladder to go in the water. Okay, I didn't have the problem of the temperature of the water being cold, thanks God, here in Cyprus. But if you do, like if you're alone, it's super cold, maybe it's icy, there are so many factors that add friction between you sitting home and doing something else and you going out for a session. If that's your case, then one thing that could really help is finding a friend. Because when you have a friend, it's just way easier to just go out for a session. Then, try and learn new skills, right? Watch some videos. Oh, I want to try and do this. I want to try and do that. And your motivation is going to skyrocket because now we have a new mission. If you're not striving towards something, if we are not striving towards something, this is going to be so hard to be motivated, because why are you doing that in the first place at that point, right? There's no reason to do it. So you need to have a goal. You always need to strive towards something, even more than one goal, right? Or even like another discipline. So if you're into pump foiling, then you might consider getting into wing foiling, or wave riding, or wake riding, or downwinding. Just try and do whatever you can do in your spot. And in regards to spot, you could also change your spot. Maybe you can change the dock, maybe you can try other starts, rock, beach, whatever. Again, all these new things give a twist to your pump foil journey and increase your motivation. And another thing that really increases the motivation is your gear. If you can, just get a new board, a new wing, a new stabilizer, a new fuselage, because you're going to be motivated, because you want to become better with that set, right? You want to try it, and then you will feel that, especially if you downsize, it's going to be hard. So it's like learning again from scratch almost. And you have a new mission again. And you're gonna just want to go in the water even more and more. And talking about going in the water, let me just take this, because look, this is not a pitch, but I'm gonna be completely transparent. There are competitive foils, there are competitive masts and whatnot, but I couldn't find a board which is not even half as good as my Ketos. And again, this is not a pitch, because if you use my code to get it, which is going to be here on the screen somewhere, or if you don't use it, I don't care. But look, yes, it's twice the price as another board on the market. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to hide behind a curtain. But this is virtually probably going to last forever, right? There is no pad that can detach. There's just like solid. And the feeling that you have with these boards, trust me, you'll never find it with any other board. That's it. This was my pitch. Now let's move on with the video. We talk finally about technique, right? So there are lots and lots of videos that I did, that Yvonne is producing around technique, and they are all great, but I'm just gonna give the same advice that I always give. If you feel like you're not efficient, just practice over and over the pump and glide drill. I know it sounds boring and whatnot, but you have to learn how to glide without losing height. So you're losing speed, but you're trying to keep the height, because that means that you are efficient, right? You're absolutely perfectly balanced on the board. And then you have to gain speed and height again. And it's just like, it just builds overall a better technique. And then there are so many tips that you can implement. As Yvonne says, you should try to like swing a bit your hips, because you need to really try and use the stabilizer a bit more. That's what I'm working on at the moment. I'm really trying to use my hips to really swing and use the stab. You can really feel when you use the stab, you're more efficient. Even if you don't have a big stab, with using the stab, I mean really having this soft, smooth oscillation. And if you are maybe a bit more of a beginner, that's what you should do. If you really don't know where to start and you're not even there yet, you're not even able to practice the pump and glide drill consistently, then what you should do is to just stop and disassemble the movement. There's this quote from Einstein, I believe, or something, that if he has like an hour, he would spend 55 minutes defining the problem, and then 5 minutes fixing the problem, right? Solving the problem. And it's the same thing. So if you don't know what's your problem, just stop, record the video, ask for help, and find out where your problem is, so that you know what to focus on. You know where you have to work on, right? Otherwise, you're just trying stuff and you're getting nowhere. And this is a lovely piece of advice, because if you do that, you're going to save so much time in your learning journey. And the last tip that I have for you is don't always push yourself to the limit. It's just like running, right? At the beginning, if you push yourself every run to the limit, yes, you're going to improve super fast, but then you're going to reach a point where you're going to just plateau. And I believe, at least, that it is the same thing with the pump foiling, right? If you just try and go as far as possible, pump for as long as possible every single trial, every single jump, every single launch, then I believe that that's not really the way you're going to learn pump foiling in the long term. Instead, what you should do is just like with running. So maybe like 80% of your launches, of your trials are going to be not at until failure, and a little bit earlier. And then maybe 20% of your sessions or of your trials are going to be until failure, right? Because that's what you should do. Instead of focusing on going as far as possible, you just focus on technique, go slow, really be aware of what you're doing, of what your body is doing, listen to the board, listen to what's going on, so that you can really understand when you're more efficient. Because if you just try and go as far as possible, you don't understand what you're doing. Maybe you're doing something good, but you don't know it. Maybe you're doing something wrong, but you're not aware of that. Again, because you're just pressing, pushing, and just trying to go far for no reason, really. Because it's not going to get you anywhere, right? That's that. Now go ahead and implement the tip or tips that most resonated with you, and just unstuck your situation and keep improving. I apologize if I haven't been so active here on YouTube and on Instagram in the last period. I'm really focusing on scaling my agency. By the way, if you're an online coach, fitness coach, nutritionist, sport nutritionist, whatever, and you're looking to grow and scale your business online, then feel free to send me a DM on Instagram and we can chat. I'm pretty sure that I can get you clients. This was the second pitch of this video. So yeah, that's that. If you want a Ketos board or foil, there is the first link in the description. If you want to work with me for my agency, you can click the second link in the description, which is going to be simply my Instagram, and you can send me a DM from there. That's it. And I will see you in the next one, hopefully soon. And before I forget, I'm going to be in the Canary Islands towards the end of January and the beginning of February, specifically Lanzarote and Fuerteventura. So if you are there, I would love to meet a bit, to foil drive a bit, or pump foil, whatever, doesn't matter. And yeah, it's gonna be one of my only travels this year, I think, because I know that I'm traveling too much. I've been traveling too much last year, and I know that it's not good for the planet. Thank you. So I know I don't need anybody to remind me that. I'm gonna work on that, and I'm not gonna make too much trouble like last year, this year. All right, cheers.